in the Past the Wire office war room studio, all rolled up in one. We are a couple of weeks post Breeders' Cup, and we are ready to talk about one of the biggest misunderstood aspects of racing, in my opinion, when it comes to how tracks are or are not playing. And this did come up Breeders' Cup weekend quite a bit. It was talked about on the television coverage and on social media. And I think I can clarify a big misconception for a lot of the people out there. But before we get to that, I want to say congratulations to Spendthrift Farm, who helps make these videos possible on a phenomenal Breeders' Cup weekend, and the sales afterwards with Monomoy Girl and Authentic. Just Spendthrift Farm, who we thank for being a small part of a great weekend with them. Really made a big splash in the deep end of the pool, and looks like they're going to be rolling strong for a long time to come, and are making quite a statement in the industry. So salute Spendthrift Farm. Congratulations. Well done. Well played. Now, moving right along. Track bias. Big misconceptions about what a track bias is, what it isn't, and what a real bias and a false bias is and isn't. I'll say this emphatically. There was no speed bias at Keeneland on Breeders' Cup weekend. A lot of people think that there was. Most of the people on TV and the analysts were saying things like, oh, how the track is playing, you got to be close to the lead, you got to be on the pace, you got to be close, you can't come from far back. I don't know what races they were watching or what they were basing this on, but it's simply not true. And I will illustrate as much for you. Now, on a true track bias on the dirt, okay? Because dirt and turf play differently when it comes to biases, and they're caused by different factors. So today, we're talking about the dirt, and we're going to use Keeneland and the Breeders' Cup weekend as an example, just because it's recent and there was a lot of misconception about it. Now, a true speed bias will cause horses to win on the lead that would not have won had the track been playing fair or playing from off the pace. It'll prevent horses coming from off the pace that would have won had the track been playing fair, or for horses coming from off the pace. On the flip side of that, a closer's track will cause speed horses to lose that would have won on an honest or a speedy track, and will cause closers to win that might not have won had the track been playing to speed or even honestly. So, there's a distinct way to define what a bias is. If horses that are not supposed to win or would not have won on an honest track are winning, you have a bias. If horses that are supposed to win are winning, or horses that got out to the lead by themselves and nobody went with them and the pace favored them and the setup favored them, are winning, you don't have a real bias. And just because horses are running really fast doesn't mean you have a bias. You put fast horses, the best horses in the world, on a fast racetrack, maybe even a souped up racetrack, and I'm not saying that Keeneland was or wasn't souped up, they're going to run fast. And yes, I know we broke track records all over the place, but let's keep everything in perspective. Keeneland has only been back to dirt from synthetic for a couple of years, not a really long time. So we're not like talking about historically long, standing track records here. Now, let's go to the actual races and see if I know what I'm talking about or if I don't. And if I don't, I'll stand corrected. If I do, maybe it'll help some people going forward deciphering what a true track bias is, and not just hearing analysts and people put on social media, oh, the track is favoring speed, you got to be on a lead, and just not the case. Highly Motivated wins the first race on Friday from a stalking, even what I would consider an off the pace position, but yet they still came right out and said, oh, you want to be close, you got to be close. I don't know why. Next race, 6.5 on the dirt. Joy's Rocket went wire to wire. Cruised on the lead. Nobody went with the horse. It's supposed to happen when that happens. Okay, ran fast, yeah, but nobody went with the horse. So you got one coming a little off the pace, one winning on the lead. I don't see a bias. Next race, we're on the turf. Skip it. Next race, Amy's Challenge. Runs very fast, goes wire to wire, cruises on the lead. The chatter was all over the place. Oh, you got to be on the lead. Look at this. What a bias. How the track is playing. Social media, the analysts, everybody was convinced. I wasn't. Amy's Challenge was supposed to win. Nobody went with her. She cruised on the lead. She's a stake horse. Wire to wire on a fast track. Race is over. Next race, mile and 5/8 on the dirt. Rocketry comes from the clouds to win. Okay? Never happens on a speed bias racetrack, but he comes from the clouds to win, and they're still saying you got to be close. They're still saying there was a speed bias. 5 races in, as many horses won on the lead, have one coming from off the pace. Why are we talking about a speed bias? I don't know. Next race was on the dirt. Next race was on the grass, Golden Pal. Next race was on the grass, Fire at Will. Next race was the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. Vequist wins up the rail from off the pace. They're still saying speed bias. Okay, charts don't say speed bias. They say speed bias. And you know what I say about them? Don't listen. Back on the grass for the next one. Last race on the card on Friday. Essential Quality. Comes from way off the pace. On the backside was far back. Way off the pace. Wins down the middle of the track. Still saying speed bias. People went home saying, oh, the track was really playing to speed. You had to be close. What races were they watching? I don't know. First race on Saturday. Nashville. What was Nashville supposed to do? I think he was 1-9, 2-5, 3-5, something like that. Fast as lightning horse. Went wire to wire. Ran really fast. Gate to wire, as I like to say. Was supposed to go gate to wire. They were saying, look at this. It's playing speed again. No, it's not. Next race was marred by a spill, but Sleepy Eyes Todd came up the rail from off the pace. Next race, Murneath, Bob Baffert's horse, who has speed, didn't run like a speed horse on Saturday, was taken back by Luis Saez and won from off the pace. Rallied late and got up. They still said you got to be close. Gamine stalked, kind of broke, trying to go for the lead, didn't get it, took back, went outside, stalked, went around everybody and win as much the best. Was supposed to win the race. Was probably one of the surest winners of Breeders' Cup weekend, along with Monomoy Girl. Next race was the turf. Next race was the mile. Knicks Go. Went wire to wire. Turned out nobody went with him. He has 2 races back this year. Both were blistering on the lead for Brad Cox. Did it again. No surprises there. Okay. I don't see a bias. I mean, went to the lead, was supposed to, and won the race. Next race back on the grass. Next race, Breeders' Cup Sprint. Whitmore, off the pace. Okay, Yaupon didn't win. Empire of Gold didn't win. None of the speed won. On a speed bias racetrack, you could rest assured a speed horse was going to win the Breeders' Cup Sprint, not Whitmore. Even if they killed themselves and went at it early, which is not really what happened. But if they did, a speed horse would probably hold on in that race on a speed bias racetrack. Didn't happen. Next race, they were back on the grass. Next race was Monomoy Girl. She kind of stalked wide all the way and won easy. She was much the best, especially when Swiss Skydiver didn't fire. Next race back on the turf. Classic, Authentic went to the lead. Race was over into the first turn. Maximum Security, the other speed, didn't go with him. And after the first quarter, going into the first turn, nobody was going to run that Kentucky Derby winning 3-year-old down. That race was in the books at that point. If you didn't have Authentic, you were going to tear up your tickets going into that first turn. So, that being said, you look at the results, you look at the charts, there was clearly no speed bias. You had a very, very fast racetrack, but you could win from anywhere on it, as Essential Quality, Rocketry, Vequist, and other horses proved. So when people start talking about a speed bias, you got to look for yourself. I mean, I got so many emails and messages and called out on social media when I said, listen, this is not a speed bias. It was funny, and people, you know how they are with their horses. It's like politics. They're passionate about it. They want to kill you if they think there's a speed bias and you don't. They take it personal. So, be that as it may, I think that this video should illustrate that there really wasn't a bias, no matter who says or thinks that there was. And if I didn't convince you, then I don't know what to say. And I'm definitely willing to listen to other opinions. Now, a couple of years ago, there was a real bias on Belmont Stakes Day. And you could cash so many tickets playing horses that ran against that bias and ran okay, or were coming off that bias and had no shot, that our Tracking Trips members, which is the subscription service for trip notes that we have on Past the Wire, we had 6 months of a run of cashing tickets at all crazy prices. You wouldn't believe, betting horses off that true bias as opposed to a false bias. Keeneland Breeders' Cup weekend was what I call a false bias. That's what people really don't know. Think there was a track bias, and there wasn't. I'm going to put a link to the article I wrote about track biases at the end of this video. Probably goes into a little more detail. It was several years ago, so I don't remember exactly what it says. And I'm pretty sure there's an article about that Belmont Stakes Day closers bias and some of the horses that we looked at coming off that bias and how they won. I'll try and find that and put a link to that somewhere at the end of this video or in the post on the website that showcases this video, because I think it's interesting and it'll help clarify how you spot a false bias and a true bias. And basically it comes down to this, what I said at the beginning. A real speed bias will cause speed horses to win that would not have won on an honest racetrack. It'll carry them home. They'll ride that bias home. Same thing for closers. When you have a mix and match like you see on Breeders' Cup weekend and horses can win from all over the place, there's not a bias. There may be a very fast track, but certainly not a speed or closers bias. So keep that in mind. It can only help you. It absolutely can't hurt you. We'll be back with more videos later in the week. We got a lot of new stuff coming out, a lot of stuff on our website. We thank you for tuning in. We thank Spendthrift Farm for helping bring this video to you. We thank you all for watching, and ciao for now.